Oh, hey you. It's Kat and Steve with the Positively Midwest podcast.
Well, hello there. Now, before this next episode, let's talk about sharing our mission.
To help, we have hooked up with Anchor.fm to help us keep launching Positively Midwest to as many ears as possible. The more we expand our reach, the more lives we can help inspire.
If you haven't heard of Anchor, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. Bonus, it's free. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer.
Well, Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and many more.
You can make money with no minimum listenership, which helps our cause.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in just one place.
So go now, download free Anchor app or go to anchorapp.fm to get started.
Now, sit back and enjoy the next episode of the Positively Midwest podcast. Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Positively Midwest. My name is Steve Jurens, and across from me, as always, normally, is my wonderful wife, Catherine.
Hello, my husband.
So tonight, I'm excited today because we're recording another episode, obviously, and it's episode 61.
What?
So we're kicking buns, if you will, just doing all sorts of fun episodes. So we give a little shout out to our friend Steve Joyner, who has given us another guest, if you will. And so tonight we're going to speak with Andy Shepard from Shepard Coaching, and he's got some connections with the Tony Robbins program. And would you like to say hi to everybody?
Hi to everybody.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So we're happy to have you on here, and I'm excited to kind of dig into some of the some of the coaching that he offers and teaches, and get your spin on it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this?
Yeah, well, in a nutshell, as you can tell, I'm British by this strange accent that I've got. So, yeah, originally from the UK, and I had a beautiful Brazilian who kind of attracted me to Brazil. She was like a magnet, so I ended up there, and it's to cut a very long story short, I ended up 14 years there. I fell out of love with her, but fell in love with the country, and I opened an English language school. The troubles and strife that I had with the school and nearly losing it is led me to find that mindset can transform everything. So being from the position where I'm about to lose my business and lose my life in savings, which are all put into the business, losing Brazil, I really didn't want to go back to the UK. I don't feel, I'm very proud and happy to be British, but I prefer to be not living in England in the cold, in the rain, and so on. So that was very traumatic. Mindset was the one thing that I realized I hadn't been working on. And that led me on a discovery of many people, T. Harv Eker and many, many others, and Law of Attraction, The Secret, and eventually Tony Robbins. And so by transforming my mind, I then transformed the school. And from having 56 students, I ended up with 300, just under 300. And so that was then my focus. And so I was on Brazilian radio. I did a bit of cable TV, and just started working with that. And eventually I decided, okay, well, I came to LA by accident and ended up really loving it here. And I've been here for the past 8 or 9 years now. And this is now the place where I live and work.
Well, you've got to enjoy living in that area, because we're in South Dakota with the Positively Midwest podcast, and it's been nice for us, what I call South Dakota short weather, but it's been like 35 to 40 degrees maybe, and it just snowed about 2 inches or something last night, so it's got to be nice over there.
To negative 30 that we had a couple weeks ago.
Well, yeah, I can't do the cold weather anymore. I can't do snow and rain. So, yeah, I think Brazil was like a little bit too hot and sticky, and California's about right. If it gets over 100, it doesn't stay there too long, and it never gets too cold. So, yeah, I think this is kind of the ideal climate for me.
Awesome.
So, yeah, I feel for you guys.
Thank you. So now, Tony Robbins, that's something that I've looked into myself as I continue to educate myself in different, psychological contexts, whether it's, the science of happiness or positive, the power of positivity. Mindset, I agree, is very important. And you kind of, your focus right now is relationship counseling. So how does one go about, if you're obviously having maybe some issues, or you just want to take your relationship to the next level, what does that look like when they contact you, and maybe a generic overview of how you help them through your process?
Yeah, I mean, this is something of a new direction that I'm going, because I've realized that in the coaching I've done a lot of life coaching, if you like, personal coaching. And I realized that the people that I coach are pretty much always women. And there's always been a thread at some point where we're working at abusive male energy. So it's been either physical, or it's been verbal, and it's just been releasing that. And the direction I'm going at the moment is to help women I've seen so many amazing women who are single, and I just cannot believe it. And so I've taken it on myself to help them to work out what is blocking them from going into a relationship. And some of it is because most of it is out of fear, that they're going to end up in another bad relationship. And sometimes there's a whole bunch of reasons. But that's the area that I'm focusing on. And I think some people they tend to be like too picky, and they say, oh, I'm looking for too much perfection, but that's really kind of a protection to them. The truth is that they're not ready for a relationship. So they're excusing themselves by saying, oh, well, he's not good enough for me, so it's okay for me not to be in a relationship. Because otherwise, if they realize the truth, then that would be something they'd find very challenging to actually face up to.
So you would help people that are not in a relationship to possibly work on themselves to get into one. And do you also help people that are in relationships already?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, yes, exactly. I mean, I've got one of my clients, she's in a relationship, and, it's just basically I'm stopping her from getting out of her way and getting in her own way of basically self-destructing the relationship. It's when we get fearful, we tend to kind of strike out, and we want to make some change. We're in a vulnerable position, because when we're giving when we're making somebody else the dependence of our love, we're dependent on another person to feel love. This is quite a strong difficult, challenging situation for people. And so sometimes, so that we can control, we'll destroy a relationship and end it, because then it's like, well, we've got control. I can't control what he's doing, or she, but if I end the relationship, then I've got the control again. And even though it's like incredibly self-defeatist doing this is what a lot of people are doing. So I'm just helping her not to get into to do that. And I'm pointing out, I kind of see things very, very differently, because I used to look at relationships as being a very physical thing, because, I mean, let's face it, most people go into a relationship because they see a beautiful guy, a beautiful girl, and they feel all sorts, they want some chemistry, they want the physical aspect of it, they want to feel good. But for me, I've lived many years in Buddhist centers. I've done a lot of meditation, and I look more at inner development. And so I realized that a relationship can really help us. This is when I get into a relationship, I'm thinking, well, okay, this is an evolving being, and so am I. And the two of us are going to, react in a specific way, and we're going to learn. We have an opportunity to learn a lot of stuff. So I look very, very differently. And so when I'm talking and presenting to this one specific person I'm thinking of, I'm saying, well, it's almost as if the universe is saying to you, like, here's an opportunity this is where you're at, and you're growing out of this. But your partner's doing exactly the same as you have learned how to deal with this situation. Now it's your opportunity to be patient with him and help him through it, because he helped you through it. Now you help him through it. Don't you see the beauty of this, is what I say. And that's kind of the angle I go.
Yeah, that's a really interesting perspective on how, there's like a sense of empowering people, to take control of their own destiny. But then to throw in the word patience, I think really makes you also stop and look at another side of the situation. Do you also get approached by males too that want to maybe get a better female perspective on a relationship or what they can do for their partner?
I've had a few, yes. And one specifically, I only had one session with, and I realized that basically all he wanted to do was to get his partner back again. And he didn't want to do any work, and he wasn't listening to anything I was saying. I said, that his partner was basically being incredibly selfish, and basically I didn't believe that the partner was trustworthy, and so it was a big mess. But he wasn't going to do any work on himself, and really he just saw me. I don't really like the label relationship coach, because most people think, oh, right, you're going to fix my relationship and you're going to make me be able to date this specific person. That's not what it's about. To me, it's about, well, the two of you need to, I look at things more of a kind of a spiritual growth kind of angle. And so that's what it's about. I think this is what people forget in relationships, that's really what it should be. People usually are very selfish about it. They can say, well, I expect my man to give me this and that and the other, and if he's not showering me the gifts, he's not the guy for me, and all of this sort of stuff. For me, that's not what it's all about. I mean, yes, shower with gifts, beautiful, but it's much more than that, and it shouldn't be expected. It should be something that's natural, and if it's not there, then the other person forgives. I mean, what do you think, guys?
Yeah, there's a lot of I think people forget the compassion and empathy in a relationship and with themselves too. You got to allow yourself that and to feel the feels, if you will. But, there's a lot of good in if you do something selflessly for your partner, whatever, we talk often on our show about different love languages, but, the more you learn about not only yourself, but your partner, that then allows you to open up and be able to do stuff selflessly for them.
And like what you're talking about, that most of these people are looking for the physical attraction, or that they want to be showered with all of this, affection. They have to realize that they have to work on that deeper connection. It's not just going to be that top layer. If you want a lasting relationship, you have to dig deep, more of that give and take, looking in, at yourself for what you're seeking in a true partner. And that's kind of what you're trying to open their eyes to.
Absolutely. And also to not look at it just from a materialistic point of view. It's like, I'm with this partner because they've got a great car, a great job, and a nice house, and everybody's going to look and say, hey, wow, you've got a great guy here, or great girl. You're important because of that. It's just so materialistic, and it's really that I don't think that is having that kind of mindset that's what you're focusing on. It's really, going to be detrimental. Your relationship is not based on anything solid or anything useful. And it's just not going to be functioning, not good at all.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. Now, before we started, you talked about that you like to help go into their past to release the trauma that some of these, clients of yours have gone through within their relationships. How is it, or what is one of the first steps that you have them do to maybe work through that trauma?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a case of some clients will come to me and they'll tell me exactly what's going on. Mostly, to be honest, it kind of unfolds as we're coaching. And so they kind of get the confidence to talk about it. And one thing that I'm finding is that I think pretty much every woman in some form has been abused by a guy, even if it's just something very simple. There's a lot of misunderstanding and disrespect from guys. And I remember talking to a few women a few months ago about this, and no, it was a few years ago actually. And I remember saying to them, I apologize on behalf of all the guys in the world. I just said that just totally sucked, because the guys were taking pictures with the girl, and I can't say on air what they were doing, but it was pretty disrespectful. They're kind of taking advantage of the situation. And I just was like, this is not on. I know there's alcohol there, people were drinking, but it was supposed to be like a black tie event, and it's just not on. And so it just started making me realize more and more about it there needs to be much more respect between guys and girls, and so some of it can be really bad. And so I had a client who came to me, and unfortunately when she was 18 she was raped, and she, even in her 50s, this was very challenging for her to be when she was intimate with her husband. So I took us through timeline therapy, and I basically did a process where I was able to release that. And it was one of the most powerful coaching sessions I've ever had, because as we went into it, I trusted the process, but it's something that it unfolds as you do it. It's kind of a magic process. You don't really know which direction it's going to go, but you're just guided by using kind of your intuition to know what to say at the right time, because there's three parts: the moment it happened, the moment before, the moment after, and I integrate those three parts together, and the conversation of each part with the person. And it was incredible. It's like, to me, that was the best coaching I ever gave, and if I never coached again, I'd say that it had been worth it, to be able to have the honor of releasing that.
That would definitely be a powerful experience to be able to help assist that person through that. We often talk about on our podcast, the past hurt of Stephen and I not always having like the best marriage, that we didn't treat each other the way that we always should have. And, he talks a lot about wanting to break that stigma of like the male stereotype of just expecting the woman to be a certain way, and that the man should be able to be, boys will be boys concept. So we often talk about that a lot. So it's great to have, you too, as a male perspective, helping these women to work through that hurt that they've seen from those males that just want to be that stereotypical, maybe not the most respectful guy out there. And you're helping them to, release that pain to be able to move forward to find a healthy relationship.
Thank you. Absolutely. And this is what it's about. It's all about, we're all here to grow. I see the work, this existence of this life as being like a school ground where you're learning new things and you're growing and you're developing. And I really do believe that's what we're going for. And it's like, I think that people, I know that there's a tendency now to look back in the past and say, this person, 10, 20 years ago did one thing, and like you should completely, all of the films are irrelevant and everything's irrelevant. Well, if the person has genuinely changed their attitude and what they're doing, I think there needs to be a forgiveness for that. I think we don't forgive enough. I mean, if the person's genuinely not changed, that's a different matter. But I do believe that we need to, we're evolving beings, and that's what we should be doing. I think this is very important.
Yeah. And I actually heard somebody speak the other day, and they were talking about, in order to truly forgive somebody, sometimes we have to learn to forgive ourselves first. Forgive yourself that, sometimes, we get ourselves in a situation, or we don't stick up for ourselves early enough, or we don't leave a toxic relationship, And so then it's hard to forgive others because we're still struggling with our own, inner demons and our negative self-talk. So we have to learn to do that self-forgiveness, to open your heart, to have that next step of forgiveness, to be able to move forward.
Totally, I agree. I love. I've only started looking at it recently, but in the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono attitude is basically it's about unconditional, forgiving, complete forgiving. I'm not finding the right words here, but the thing that I find interesting is where they look at it is like if something's bad's happening to you, then we have to look in and say, well, I must take some responsibility for this. And from a Buddhist point of view, then when we start understanding karma, then nothing's going to happen to us unless we've had the karma in the past, because Buddhism believes in past lives they believe that there's been countless lives, and we've been countless entities, male, female, and done all sorts of bad stuff and good stuff as well. But when something bad's happening, then the belief is that this is what they call karma ripening. And so we have to take some responsibility for it. We look at the object of it happening and we say, oh, we hate that person, we hate this, and then so on. Another possibility is to look at it and say, well, okay, this has happened for a reason. What can I learn from this? How can I release this? How can I, obviously in situations you need to get out of that so that it's not continually happening, obviously. But, we have to take some responsibility for it and purify the karma.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it makes me think back to when we were talking about patience a little bit ago too, that, however long you may have been in a relationship with somebody, if you're seeking any type of therapy or coaching for that, you're at a place that unless you want to just grow and get better, you might be in a place where you don't have any alternative, or someone's thinking of leaving, or you have some serious concerns. But one thing is that if you're the partner who is changing, or your significant other is changing, having that patience to realize, if you've gone through, multiple years of some sort of, pain or anguish or trauma, if you will, that, that stuff doesn't change overnight too. And that people, whoever is the one that's going through these growth, hopefully it's both of you, because we always feel it takes two, but, it takes time, and they're still going to continue to make mistakes while they're going through these transitions too. But if you become positive and optimistic and try to, have those gratitude moments to focus on what you see changing, then you can continue to focus on noticing the change and then taking the next step and the next step, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And to me, gratitude is a superpower. It's you create so much positive energy by this simple function of having gratitude. It's so powerful. People don't realize that. It's a practice that I did extensively in Brazil. I like to go walking. Where I'm at in LA at the moment is not conducive to that. But where I had before, I was walking around a square which had a beautiful kind of church in it which looked like a cathedral, and I walked around there and I did like an hour, and in 20 minutes was just pure gratitude, just thinking of everything. Now I just do meditation in my room, but I find the movement quite useful. So yeah, you're creating so much amazing positive energy. It's good stuff.
Awesome. So let me ask this, because I know that there are some other, certifications or programs or coaching institutes, whatever you want to call them. Tony Robbins is by far one of the most well-known and successful personal development coaches in many different, contexts. But what drew you to it, or was it a point in your life where you needed some change? Or because I know that some of their programs sometimes is to help the coaches have their own breakthrough, but what drew you to all that?
Yeah, I mean, it was the failure of my school, and I remember being in a room, in a dark room, no windows, mold everywhere, cockroaches for friends, drinking beer. I don't drink anymore. I stopped 10 years ago. And, I didn't have any money. My school was about to go under. I was drinking beer and watching TV. I was in an amazing, beautiful country, but I couldn't go out because I didn't have enough money. And I just went, what am I doing? I'm putting in the time. I'm doing 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, 10 hours teaching a day. And if anybody's a teacher, they would know that is a heck of a stint. It's very tiring. And I was like going, well, I've got a degree. I believe I'm a smart person. I achieved a lot when I was a computer repair engineer. I had it all. I had a great career. What on earth is going wrong? And it's kind of stupid when I think now. And I just went, well, I'm not working. What about my mindset? I'm not working on my mind. And I went, well, okay, well, let's try this. And somebody given me a copy of The Secret, the film The Secret, and that was kind of the start of it all. And I started going, well, okay, I looked on the internet and I started downloading material from many of the people in there, like Jack Canfield and so on. And then Tony Robbins kept coming up because obviously they've been tagging him as an association with the searchers. And so I downloaded some of his stuff as well. And eventually I got to studying him after I'd studied all the others. And I just clicked with him. There was just something about his energy. I like people who are energetic. So I love Tony. And I knew that you're the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. And I went, well, here I'm pretty isolated. What am I going to do? And so I said, okay, well, I'm going to make Tony my best friend. And so I listened to him for 2 hours a day. So I got different CDs, and eventually I play everything through once. And then I started playing his CDs 6 times because I really wanted to get it into my head. And I transformed the school. Like I said, from 56 students, it ended up with just under 300. I know we were really low in numbers, and I said to everybody, okay, I'm going to get 100 students in 15 days. Because in Brazil, they don't count in 2-week forms. They say 15 because that's half a month to them. So I said, okay, 100 students in 15 days. And they said, you ain't going to do it, Andy. And I went, watch me. And so I did massive action, and I put into practice what Tony had said. And I had flamethrowers, fire eaters, outside the school. I had people doing distribution of pamphlets. I had a billboard. I was on television. I was on radio, everything you can imagine. And you know what? I got the 100 students. And so that completely transformed the school. And it was just, the sky was the limit after that.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. That's got to be an extremely proud moment when you got all of that put together, and then really how you were able to help so many people then with those efforts, when it came to fruition.
Yeah, I mean, once I'd done that, then I wanted to share that with other people. So I got friends in the radio, and I got on a show there, and I got I was a guest, a weekly guest, and was sharing, positivity, as it were. He was always coming up with asking me something, and he wanted something positive for his clients. And then I did a bit of cable TV, and got into universities and was giving presentations to like 150 students at a time and stuff like this. And yeah, I just wanted to share it. I thought, I've got something here, it's working. Let's share my knowledge with other people.
That's amazing. So, you definitely did the work. So you saw how the mindset that we talk so frequently about can make such a difference in life. And so it's like you went from, your kind of one of your lowest points of having that like rock in a hard place. What am I going to do? And then putting in the time, putting things into motion, setting that manifesting, this is what I'm going to do. Your intention, set your intention, and you did it. Like, that's pretty amazing to see. It's like, I've watched those Tony Robbins, documentaries. I've watched some of his things where he has these people that talk about that story. And it's amazing to hear that firsthand, how successful that it can be.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. If you set your mind to something and you give yourself a big enough why to achieve it, and then you just start with a massive action plan, then yeah, pretty much anything's going to be achievable.
Yeah. And you know what? It sounds cliche to some people, and hopefully after 61, soon to be 61 episodes, people are catching the drift of how we feel about it. But, one of my main missions too is to break down the stigma of therapy, whether that means you need to get help with addiction, or you need to get help for yourself to be a better you, learn more about yourself, or couples therapy, or whatever. So, one thing that people don't realize is, a lot of times these situations are pretty cost effective. And not that we need to go in those details, but I know a lot of times that most of the therapeutic sessions, whether it's a certain 6 or 12 or whatever week program, or you just continuously go until they feel, empowered in a sense. What we're spending on cable TV or cell phones, things like that, you can find a way to, do something that permanently will change your life. And I think once you're on the other side of that, things come at you so fast, your life just changes. It seems like it's just always working in your favor in a sense. And that to me, is priceless. So, I don't know how you put that into perspective for people, but I know when we're trying to encourage others to seek out some sort of therapy, that's one of the common things that we come up with is, I just can't afford to go do that once a week, or I can't get that program for this amount of time. And, really if we have our mindset set on change, it's priceless, really.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's completely driven me nuts for many, many years. The people who've really suffering and struggling with something, and they won't invest in coaching or therapy or anything like this. And I've found it very painful. I've had many times when I've helped people for free, and it's been a real challenge. And some of them have not really taken that gift and done the best that they can with it, because if you don't pay, then oftentimes you don't really put it into practice, as deep as you should. And the one phrase that really helped me was this, which says something along the lines of, you're here to help the people who want it, not the people who need it. And it sounds terrible, but it's really, really helped me, because I found it so painful. Because as a coach, I'm very have a huge heart, and I really genuinely want people not to suffer, and especially when I can see a way out. And it's been such a challenge for me, but that's really, really helped me, because sometimes you can't you're just banging your head against the wall with people. You can help them, but they're just not willing to let go of that pain, or for whatever reason. And it's a big challenge.
Well, yeah, and what a lot of people don't think of either is that you're not in this alone. Whatever you think your problem is, or the problem that you're going through in your life, you are not the only person that has dealt with it, that is dealing with it. that will deal with it. And, for people like, we are very straightforward that we are not experts, but we do want to help people in any way that we can. If you're, when you're a certified coach, you've got accreditation and knowledge and experience to help people. What they really should understand first and foremost, if you're on the fence of taking the first step, is that you're not alone. No matter how deep or dark those thoughts might be, someone has been there, and there are people educated properly to help you, or at least, get you into the arms of the right person, whether that be a, full-on psychologist, that's got to work at it a different way. But either way, if you're one on the fence, just know you're not the only one. A lot of people are in that boat, and hopefully that brings you comfort, or at least makes you want to look into something like this where you can literally completely change your life, and you never know what's going to flip the switch.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
I remember kind of one of the first things that helps switch mine is, my uncle was talking to me about different business things. I'm just feel like I'm trying to find my place in life, and I read a book called Manifest Now, and I noticed there are a lot of common themes now that I've been doing this for a while, but it's always about gratitude, and it's always about affirmations, and building yourself up so much that it's natural. It's a habit. You habitually are your own best friend, and not arrogancy, but a confidence that exudes to people. And once I got some of that back, I noticed a lot of things changed in my circle and in my life in general, and work too. But I don't know what your thoughts are on, once you do kind of realize the things on the other side. Have you had people then refer you to other people, and how does that look for you?
Yeah, well, the first thing I just want to, you said something really valid, so I just want to just re-emphasize that. It's like the thing that we don't realize is we look at people like Clark Kent, and we see Superman, and we see Superwoman and Supergirl and all the rest of it. We all have this inside us. We all have this superpower inside us. And the truth is that what we have to, what I recommend we do is to do our, to reconnect into it and shed all of the stuff which has been layer upon layer put onto us by our family, by our friends, by our school, by all sorts of entities, by sometimes work, sometimes our bosses. And, these have manifested in the forms of limiting beliefs. When we shed all of this and we appear, we take all of these layers off us, and we get down to our core inside. This is what Tony Robbins is a real master at, getting this power within us. Unleashing the power within is one of his programs. We all have it in us, and that's what it's all about. So the people that the referral thing, it's to be honest, most of the people, I kind of get an intuitive kind of gut instinct about who to help sometimes, and I'll go and connect with them, and and just sometimes somebody can just say something to me, or I see something on a video, and there's just something that resonates in me, and I realize what they need help with, and so I'll connect with people and and help them that way. That seems to be what happens most of the time.
Yeah, that once you can kind of learn to harness your intuition, and sometimes it could be as simple as having compassion or empathy for somebody. And if you're not someone who is in a sense qualified to help someone, active listening is very, very important, and anybody can practice that and good conversation etiquette. But, that's when I would think, you see someone that's, consistently having trouble, and maybe it's the same problem. There's no solution in sight. That's when I would think you'd want to recommend them to someone that does a specified coaching for it, or some sort of therapeutic assistance.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the thing with Tony's coaching is that basically we can coach anything. A Tony Robbins coach can pretty much coach anything. You can come up with me with anything, and I'm going to be able to take you to the other side and wherever you want to go. So it's been a challenge then to actually find a niche and say, okay, well, this is an area that I focus on, and I've really struggled with that, to be honest. And yeah, so then because we prefer to say, oh, well, like if it's hypnotherapy, it would be, well, if you go to this hypnotherapist, he'll stop you smoking, or, we seem to like that. We want to see an expert. So with a doctor, with a surgeon, you'll have a heart surgeon, or, and so on. And so we seem to like that more than somebody general. So that's been quite a challenge for me.
Yeah. And I think, it's all too often, and the Midwest is real tough about that. So maybe this is something you can relate to, and it might not just be in the Midwest, but I notice a lot of people around here, even if it's physical, if they can get through the day, or if, I just have a headache every so often, or my back hurts here and there, instead of spending the, whatever monetary investment that means and the time to find what the root cause is of your pain. Generally pain is the last signal that our body is saying, hey, man, lady, I've had enough of whatever you're doing. This hurts. I'm going to tell you this hurts until you figure out what you can change in your life so that we can correct the problem. Where with your mental health, it's the same difference. If you're if you're getting to the spot in your life where you may be having suicidal thoughts, that's obviously, your mind's last way of saying, I don't know what else to do. I try to help you cope. Maybe your friends are trying to give you advice, or you reach out. But even if you're having sometimes, I've been going to counseling now for over a year and a half, and I have great weeks. My life is completely different than it used to be, and I'm loving life right now, but I still go every week because it's like talking to a close friend. They know everything about you, but they're going to set you straight if you're getting out of control, or if you did something, to a coworker or a friend or a spouse that might have not been the best behavioral practice. So, where has it become in society, or how has our mindset gotten to be where it's not okay to go and seek consistent medical help until you can be on your own, or mental help until you can be on your own? What are your thoughts on something like that?
That's pretty huge, all that you've said there. Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely let's get on with it and I'll struggle through kind of attitude. Definitely the British are really very much into this. You get some people who whine about any tiny little pain or ache and pain, but there's others who will just battle through stuff. I think it's called Ikescu Method. I can't remember the name properly, but their thoughts are that basically any ache or pain is an imbalance in your body, and it's telling you something, is giving you useful information, and that basically whatever pain there is often an association with another part of your body. For example, a wrist pain is often something to do with your shoulder not functioning correctly, and it believes in balance. And as for basically what you were saying about somebody who is suicidal, this is important. If anybody out there is listening to this and considering suicide, please reach out to somebody. Reach out to me, reach out to somebody. There are many places you can go. You do not suffer this on your own. Most times when you're feeling suicidal, I think what it is you just want an off button. It's not that you want to kill yourself, but you just want whatever is happening to stop. The thing that I'd like to say is that there is always a way. I've been there. I've been at rock bottom. And thank goodness I never did anything, and I hope I never will, because the next day is always a better day. The point of case of point would be there was one French lady that I was very, very much in love with. It was a very short romance, but to me, she was an absolute soul mate. This was my understanding in my 20s. And when we ended, when the relationship ended abruptly and she left and said, this is the end, we're never going to be together, it was as if my heart had been torn out. And every day I woke up in so much pain. It took me 2 years to get over her, even though I'd only dated her for 6 weeks, which people will think is incredibly crazy. Me too. But that's where I was. The only thing that kept me going was I just knew that one day I would wake up and the pain wouldn't be there, that life would get better. And you know what? Since her, I did fall in love again. And there were people who were women who were incredibly important to me. And now I'm happily married. So thank goodness I didn't, have let these dark thoughts take over. There's always a better day, and seek help, seek the right help. It's so important.
Exactly. Because, it's like you can talk to your friends, about your relationship, or you can talk to your friends about your heartache. And, either they're going to be like your echo board, where they're just going to be like agreeing with you because they're hearing like, your side of it, and they're kind of just, your singular cheerleader. So where being able to step back and then going to someone like you, who's this professional in the relationships, is they're going to get good advice on overcoming their, hurt or their relationship past. And it's like sometimes you have to realize you maybe had to go through that crappy breakup to learn what you didn't want in that relationship. But we don't always, want to listen to your friends, or some of those friends that you might just seek aren't going to give you that great advice that now you, being educated, are able to give those.
Amen. I totally agree. Yeah, well said. And as a coach, I was very lucky because we all need mentors. We all need coaching. And I've spent so much money I've invested in coaching, self-development, books, Audible. I've got so many hundreds and thousands of dollars in just this and courses. And I'm very fortunate to have been coached one-on-one by Tony Robbins at one of his events. And one thing that I promised him, because he was talking to me, and I promised him, I said, Tony, I promise you, I will only coach people and tell people in any of, my videos that I do about stuff that I've actually had experience with, because a lot of people will go and they read something and then they go and regurgitate it. There's no meaning to that. Yes, you're sharing some knowledge. Okay, yes, that can be useful. But it's like when you've actually experienced something, you've applied techniques and you've come out the other side, then this is so, so powerful.
I couldn't have said that any better myself. That is exactly what I resonate with when, we started Positively Midwest, and it was just at first seeing negative Facebook, social media things, and then, what if we had a group that we tried to inspire people every day one way or another, and then we had other people join in on it? And then what if we had a podcast where if we didn't have someone to interview, you and I would talk about an article or a theory or a philosophy or something to do with positivity and ramp it up at the end. And, so how you wrap that up is, we all have this power to completely turn everything around and really change our own lives. And then everything around you does change, because what you don't realize is that throughout your day, your brain is wired to make tiny little decisions without you necessarily even know what's going on. And then eventually you continue to be, you get happier and more optimistic and so on as it continues to change for you. So then in a sense, you're almost empowered to just that is your life. That is the habits that you have created for yourself, instead of always finding the dumpy things that are going on or the negative aspect of a situation.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that most of us kind of don't focus on enough is that we are energetic beings. We are energy. You know, the greatest thing that Einstein said was E equals MC squared. He related energy to mass, substance, and substance to energy. So we're made of, we get so confused by all this physicality, but there's energy in us and we can't. Okay, so my favorite example is if you're focusing on something, you're on your computer, and somebody extremely negative walks into the room. You feel if as long as you're not focusing too much on what your work is, you'll feel an energy shift, even though you've not seen the person. And you look round and go, "Oh, I know now. I know why I'm feeling like this." And the opposite, you know, you're in a room and maybe you're talking to other people, and suddenly the energy of the room lifts, and you look round and a specific person has entered the room. I think we've all had experiences like that, haven't we?
Oh, definitely. You know, people don't realize how powerful, you know, the community, in a sense, of what you surround yourself with, and that information as it comes at you, you're constantly rewiring your own mindset, you know, and that yeah, that's perfect. Very powerful.
So when we focus on keeping our own energy good, you know, and people like Esther Hicks and you know, Esther and Jerry Hicks talk about this, about keeping on what they call a high flying disc, and basically it's just about keeping your energy up. If you notice people who are negative and they are very depressed, they have one atrocious thing after the other happen to them. They're probably very ill. They're getting illness after illness and all sorts of dreadful things happening to them. And their life is a total mess. If you look at somebody who's very positive and really got good energy, then they just seem to be this, they've got like a 4-leaf clover that they walk around with. We've all seen people like this. And yeah. Like, everything great happens to them. You know, they'll look on the floor, there's a $10 note, and the parking space will appear for them when they need it, and all of this. Life just flows. And so keeping positive minded, you know, I don't care how cliche that is. That's what we really is where we should be focusing on, doing everything we can to have a happy mind. You know, gratitude is a great place to start our day. Prayer is great if you're into that. Good actions, deeds, where you're doing kind things. I met a person who did something called Pay It Forward. Charlie was his name, Charlie Johnson, and he was doing some great work where he was just doing simple stuff of like saying, you know, if we could just be kind to people, and like from the film Pay It Forward, and he really took that message on strong. He'd opened doors to people. I had the privilege. I went all the way to Rio to see him and meet him, and you know, he would do that. Yeah, I've seen him on a bus or a train. I can't remember. I think it was a train we were on, and he got up and he gave his seat to somebody. He lived it. He walked his talk. Beautiful. It's such simple stuff you can do. You know, I've got a friend who you know, pre-COVID, she would regularly buy the coffee for the person behind her, and simple stuff like this, and write little notes and say, have a beautiful day, and, you know, this kind of thing. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes even something as simple as a smile towards another person can make someone's day completely different.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and, you know, one thing I think people might forget when they already question self-help or personal development is that, one, that does not, and you touched on it perfectly, one, it does not mean that you don't believe in God. You can believe in God, and you can still do self-help and personal development. It just might mean something differently for you. And I've been through some different religious programs, and a lot of those they have some similar structures to some of the personal development. So I'd encourage you to do what feels right for you in your heart, but just know that that's not what that means. As well as it's almost like disclaimers, but the being positive. And when we say think positive, be positive, stay positive, things like that, it's not like every single second of the day you're going to be positive. You're still You're going to cry. You're going to be sad. You're going to be mad. All these feelings, and you need to feel them. But what's most important is to have enough positivity or optimism that when you're in whatever emotion, that you don't make a permanent mistake or a permanent decision because you're temporarily feeling whatever that emotion is. If you're really sad and then you beat yourself up and, oh, I can't believe I did this, or I'm so stupid, or blah, blah, blah. That's not healthy for yourself. If you're angry and then you go and smash up somebody's car, or you go rob a bank or whatever, that's not dealing with the problem. That's going to give you more, things like that. So find that balance. And we talked about it earlier. You brought up that good balance with your body. It's the same with your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what you were saying about the churches, I mean, there's Reverend Michael Beckwith, who's got Agape, and he definitely does a lot of self-help stuff with there. So there's churches who are like full on with that as well. So absolutely. I mean, this is which is what is mind-blowing about the world now. There is everything that you can imagine out there, and every combination you can imagine, and we have the power of Google and YouTube to be able to find these things. On YouTube now, it's difficult for me to go to sleep because they keep presenting stuff to me and saying, hey, Andy, this could be really cool. You might want to watch this. And I'm going, I want to go to sleep, but I need to watch this. It's an incredible opportunity that we have at the moment. It's all out there. It really is. And whatever your beliefs are, there's something for you. Because our beliefs and religious beliefs or whatever beliefs we have, this is a specific type of mindset, and there is material which you will find agreeable to your tastes, if you like. We all have different tastes. That's why you don't go into a restaurant and there's just one soup and one main dish and one dessert. It's because we've all got different tastes, and sometimes dependent on the moment as well.
Well, yeah. And, I hear all too often too, where people say, social media is, just garbage. All it does is tear you down, and it's fake this, and there's people, being rude to each other. And, but you can also, just like in your life in general, your online life, if you will, is what you make it. So if you're constantly following things that are going to frustrate you, or you're scrolling through comments that are going to fire you up and make you want to be a keyboard warrior, or when you want to post something that is your opinion, that's totally okay to have that. But realize if it is an opinion that might be, easy to argue over, that you have to know that that's going to come at you, and you don't have to respond to those things. You can share, or you can follow groups. Like we've started to follow a lot of different positive groups to just have different, inspiring ideas and different quotes sometimes. And my Facebook feed has significantly changed over the last couple of years, where, I hardly see any NFL stuff, for instance. That's something we don't watch as much anymore, and our lives just have changed a little, but I hardly see any of that stuff. And I was like a huge football fan for a little bit of time there. And then, anyways, my point is that, it is what you make it. If you surround your online life, just like your friendships, with people that are trying to drag you down, or online things that are trying to drag you down, that is where you're going to be stuck. You'll be stuck in that kind of whirlpool situation, if you will. So
yeah, I mean, as we grow, then we're going to find ourselves becoming distant from certain things and certain people. It's just a normal evolution. And yeah, I'm all into that, and stuff that's kind of winding me up or giving me a kind of an imbalance in the mind, I'm not into. I remember the first premise in Buddhism they taught me was always keep a happy mind. And so I do my best to always be focusing on that. And this doesn't mean doing stuff you don't have to do selfish stuff. So it's like, keep a happy mind. Well, that means I need to buy myself a nice big red Ferrari and spend a ton of money. And it's not about that. Yeah, sure, this red Ferrari might make you happy, but there's a ton of other things that you can do which are going to make you just as happy or more happy. And those are the things to focus on. So, yeah.
Very beautifully put. Well, Mr. Andy Shepherd, I think that we have kicked some major butt in this episode. I don't know if you have anything else that you want to cover. Otherwise, we'll for sure get to what we call the shameless plug zone. But I really appreciate you coming on. You've had, sometimes we do a little bit of research, but we don't really talk to you ahead of time other than right before, and most all of our guests. And I can't think of an episode in 61 that we're just not vibing at some point with people. And this was another one where, we've gone back and forth on some great points and lots resonated. But I want to make sure, is there any good final points you want to get out there? And then we'll get into that shameless plug zone.
Yeah, I mean, I just like to, if anybody is out there who's not doing something on self-development, then I encourage you to consider doing it. And that started off as reading self-help books, and there's so much good stuff out there. If you don't need to spend a fortune. There's something called Scribd that you can get into, and you can get like Audible, or you can get books and you just pay a monthly fee. And there's all sorts of ways of doing it. So look into this kind of thing, and it's like whatever you've been through, whatever you're having difficulty, challenges with, I promise you, most of us, either somebody's gone through it, or more like pretty much everybody has. An example being, if you're starting a new business, you have imposter syndrome, and this is something that every single person, even the most famous top people, go through. So please, consider doing something with self-development, and, just go in slowly, just go step at a time, start reading books, start listening to audiobooks if that's your thing. And then consider, when you find somebody that you resonate with, then do a course with them, do some one-on-one coaching, but please invest in this. And I promise you, it will transform your life for the better.
Very, very well put. And if someone wants Andy Shepherd to be their coach for relationships, or whatever they want to reach out to you for, how can they find you, follow you, check you out on the internet, social? Give us all those beautiful details.
Well, I'd like to offer a gift to your listeners, if I may.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So, yeah, if anybody, you guys listening out there, if you go to andythecoach.com, I've put together a video to help. Specifically, it was for single women, but this would be equally applicable to somebody in a relationship, and also to guys. They'll find it useful as well. But what it is I've put together a way of being able to discover what you want in a relationship, what you don't want, how to make sure that you're getting the right guy. And also I put a spin on it as well, and give you kind of an alternative thought, because we get too picky about and too focused. No, this is the word I want. We get too focused on what we want out of a relationship, and it's very, very materialistic. So a third part of it, I give an alternative, which I think will really, it's helped me in my relationship, and people who've put it into practice has completely transformed it. So that's a free gift, and go to andythecoach.com for that.
Awesome. Thank you. That's really, really amazing that you put something like together for people, and, give them an idea how they can get going. And so, yeah, thank you for doing that.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You bet. Well, Andy, it's been awesome having you on the show. I don't know if my wonderful lady friend over here has any closing comments, but I for sure would like to say thank you for joining us, and you've been an absolute treat.
Yeah, this has been always informative. And like I said at the beginning, it's like we're having this conversation with a friend who is just giving us some really great advice and things to ponder and think about and look further into. So it's kind of opening your eyes to other avenues out there that can be so beneficial to each of us. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure being here, and great questions. And at the end of the day, wherever you're at, everything is figure outable. Great book. And, everything is transformable. And that's really the message I'd like to leave everybody with. Just because you don't know how doesn't mean it's not possible. Just open your mind, focus on what you want, why you want it, know you deserve it, and you'll find the answer. You don't need the answer to get what you want, but you will attract it.
Very good. Thank you. And again, we appreciate it. Yours, well, actually, we'll just use it for this upcoming week. So it'll be March 3rd at 7 a.m. that you'll come out and everybody will hear it. So we'll shoot you over a copy too before then. But thank you again for being a part of all of this. And hopefully our paths will cross again, and we can catch up and see how things are going.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks a lot. It's been great, guys. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks, Andy. Well, you have a wonderful evening.
You too.
Thank you. Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. Well, what do you think of that, my lady?
I absolutely loved it. He just sounds so unique and so neat the way that he's putting his, male perspective of going through these relationships where he was in love with, he said his French woman or his beautiful Brazilian woman. And, that so much of it is just top layer. Mm-hmm. And he definitely took his experience now and is putting it into being able to help others.
Yeah, and I really wanted to dig into it maybe on more of a selfish level about, the Tony Robbins program. That's something I considered myself, and not to say that's out of the question. Right now I'm going through something with provided by Berkeley University, which is very positive psychology based, is kind of what I've been looking into myself, and it's astonishing what the kind of psychology when you start to learn what's behind you and other people, and how we can just help each other out. So that social community was something that I just was learning about, and I think we're learning more and more out in the community how even something like this can help from time to time. So
right.
So thank you all for your continued support and listening. We do, which should be a permanent fixture. You can get those stainless steel water bottles on our website, positivelymidwest.com. We've got 2 tumblers available now. The Peace Finger tumbler, which you designed. Mm-hmm. Well, you've designed everything, including my tattoo. And the regular Positively Midwest branded tumbler. And all of them, the tumblers for sure are hot or cold. Water bottle, I'm thinking you just want to put cold water in.
Probably. I mean, the whole straw thing and sucking it through that thing. But yeah, the other tumblers are amazing for keeping your ice or your beverages chilly. Now, when it comes up to this summer and you're wanting to keep, anything cold. But yeah, my coffee stays so nice hot for long periods of time in it.
Yeah, and we have got at least a few hats left out there. They're kind of the flex-fitted ones, straight bill, if you will. So got a couple of those out there. Thanks to everybody who supported us with our first round of the pre-orders again, and we're getting a few of the tumblers here and there. So I think we're at a spot where we can help somebody out. Now we just got to figure out how to put that out there. So thanks again for all that. Thanks again for listening, and I'm ready to close out if you are. I'm going to say that she is ready to close out.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
Here we go. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for listening to the Positively Midwest podcast. Our hope is to inspire, engage each other's thoughts, and leave you with some great advice. Be sure to join our Facebook group and follow us on Instagram at Positively Midwest Podcast. Make sure you like, comment, share, and screenshot our podcast with all of your cool friends. Every little bit helps. We are on most all major platforms, and you can stream it on our website at PositivelyMidwest.com. Thank you. And as always, please always stay positive.